The two Ingsha, sure enough, are also greedy for money, glanced at each other, grabbed it with a big hand, and unceremoniously accepted the money, staring at Zhao Wenbin viciously. Knife, don't get in the way of your grandfather, otherwise, I will take you all in. Zhao Wenbin still didn't speak, made a gesture of please, and the two Ingsha walked forward proudly, and as soon as they walked to Zhao Wenbin's side, the two pulled Mrs. Wang to take a step back. But it's too late. The Big Dipper brothers' big array of lights suddenly wins, surrounding a copper pigeon in the middle. Obviously that step just now. These two masters have entered the formation. I'm afraid this Zan soldier won't be able to trap these two. The Great Seal of the Maoshan Patriarch was used as the town eye. Before this incense burns out. Don't say it's the difference between these two eagles. Even if it's a bull head and a horse face, I have to wait until the hour comes to come out. Although the two eagles don't know who Zonbing is, they also don't know who Zonbing is. But what about Brother Tong in the eyes of this town? But it's the real big seal of the head of Maoshan. This is the only one in the world. There is no other trumpet. Maoshan has always been famous for killing evil demons and monsters. Naturally, they understand this. He put down the shelf. He made a double gesture towards Zaven. Indicates the number of courtesies. Zaven is generally ruthless. Returned the salute, laughing. I'm afraid not. It is difficult to leave two places. Thank you for your understanding. Afterwards, Xiao Dao will definitely give a bow gift to accompany this rudeness. It's kind of a step down for the two of them. This man communicates with ghosts. Money is still king. I don't know what the ferry road does. Zhao Wenbin glanced at Mrs. Wang, whose eyes were empty. He turned his head again. Two officials are on errands. The trail was puzzled. This royal woman is clearly not over. Why was it taken away? The two of them heard that this was the case. Grimacing. Didn't want to answer. Zaven Bing is not a good stubble. Earlier, his daughter had suffered a catastrophe. I already have hatred in my heart. I'm well prepared today. Subconsciously touched the 7-star sword in his hand. At that moment, the formation seemed to be stronger again. Let's talk about this ghost. It is much more real than man. At this time, it was Zhao Wenbin's trap. I can't help them. One of them spoke. Don't blame the two of us. It is providential. This Mrs. Wang's longevity is indeed unfinished. But 7 people must die in the village this month. Mrs. Wang happened to be in a rush that day. Rushed to our brother's stall again. It's just that she deserves to die. Providence. What is providence? Obviously, it was the two of you who hooked the soul. I don't know what to do yet. Under the guise of providence. Misconduct outside. Really, I don't dare to do it. Said. Zan drew his 7-star sword. Straight ahead. Zaven Bing dared to be so presumptuous. Naturally, there is a reason for it. This man. Life and death are not fake. But you have to follow the rules. Mrs. Wang was destined to be rich and rich. No matter what, it can't be such a catastrophe. There are no wild ghosts to hook the spirits. So he took it a bite. It's a good thing that these two bad guys did. What a situation. Is Zhao Wenbin planning to defy the sky? In fact, he didn't have the guts. Although there is something to do with the guys in hand. But Master died too early. I only learned a scratch of the surface. Plus some books left behind. I've been self-taught for so many years. It's okay to pack up a lonely ghost. But what lies ahead is a gloom. According to our human parlance. You are an ordinary person who has learned leg and foot kung fu for a few years. Go and fight with the regular army and the troops. Or two. It's still a little weak-hearted. But, plus this formation. At the moment, he is in his heart. It's the one who has the upper hand. If you lose half of the momentum. The other party is a goblin. Authentic ghosts. Zhao Wenbin's hand. Sure enough, it shook these two indifferences. They looked at each other. It's like making up your mind. Biting his lip. I don't know anything about the fairy road. The reincarnation of the three realms should have been in accordance with the law. However, there are some knots that are not within the three realms. The reason why this Wang Zhuang has to kill 7 people, that's not what we intended. Except for those who are already there. The rest is called providence. Wang Zhuang, these 7 people, it's all a substitute for the dead in the village next door. That's all we can say. Heavenly secrets must not be revealed. I hope that the gentleman will raise his noble hand. This conversation shocked Zhao Wenbin's heart. What kind of existence is the providence that transcends the three realms? In fact, this is when we usually tell fortunes. Among the many things that fortune tellers tell us, there are many that work. There are a lot of them that don't work. Usually the first half is right, but it's not the second half. Providence beyond the three realms. I can see through this. It has always been the lifelong pursuit of a cultivator. What a realm that is. Zhao Wenbin, who thinks he has read a lot of clicks. It's the first time I've heard of it. This plunged him into deep contemplation. But the reality was quickly pondered by Bo. The incense was about to burn out. Zhao Wenbin is like a bad loss. Promised to go back and pay good tribute to the two. Ing almost nodded. Tonight's conversation is not to be leaked for the rest of your life. Otherwise die. Zhao Wenbin nodded and agreed. Put away the big seal and solve the formation. The two of them left. After a gust of wind, the last section of ash of the incense was broken. Also blew Zhan's soldiers into the abyss of the Tao. After coming down the mountain, he burned some ingots at the entrance of the village. It is considered to be a benefit to the Yin. Look up at the starry sky. For the first time, Zhao Wenbin had a new understanding of the depth of the Tao. Only those who transcend the three realms can be regarded as true providence. Tianzheng Dao. How easy it is to say this. There have been so many cultivators throughout the ages. Many people may have pursued this heavenly Tao all their lives. Zhao Wenbin fell into deep thought. I actually fell asleep there. He had a dream that night. I dreamed that my daughter was greeting him. This is after the drowning of Zhao Wenbin's daughter. He dreamed it for the second time. Zhao Wenbin's daughter told him, he's cold. The water is uncomfortable. Tell Zhao Wenbin to save him. Not far away, Zhao Wenbin's daughter. There was a beast standing beside it. Look at him from afar. This beast is nothing else. It's gluttony. It's like you're suffering. Zhao Wenbin wanted to reach out and pull his daughter. Was yelled at by gluttony. Woke up by yelling. Zhao Wenbin rubbed his eyes. I found that the sky was already bright at this moment. There were still some tears in the corners of his eyes. Wiped his eyes. Sighed. Turned to Master Wang's house and walked away. Go to Mr. Wang's house. Push open the door. He Lao had already gotten up. I'm washing up in the yard. I saw Zhao Wenbin come back. He Lao hadn't had time to wipe the toothpaste on his mouth. Is to kneel down for Zhao Wenbin. Zhao Wenbin stopped him. He Lao, here's what to do. He Lao is already in tears. A handful of tears and a handful of snot. Zhao Wenbin floated to the small stool and sat down. Wenbin. I saw my wife last night. As you say. He gave me a dream. Tell me to take good care of myself. Let me tell you about it. Everything is fate. Numerology. I don't believe in it. I just wanted to see it. God can't take care of human life. Zaven's soldier gritting his teeth, frowning. A fist slammed into the stone plate. Blood spread along the lines of the stone plate. I don't know if Zavenbing was overused last night. Or is it due to grief? I fainted. Lao hurriedly woke up Wang Xing. Let him help carry him into the wing. Zawenbin has been since the death of his daughter. Barely got a full night's sleep. This time he had a high fever that didn't go away. I fell asleep for a day and a night. On the night he fell asleep, another person died in Wangshuang. It's not strange to be dead. For the people of the village. What a joy and sorrow. Who is the one who died? It's at Mr. Wang's house. A family diagonally across the door. It's an old lady. He is also in his 80s. Take a bath in your own bathhouse. I haven't seen it for a long time. The daughter-in-law went in and looked for it. The old lady was found lying in a wooden barrel. Half of his head sank into the water. She's a daughter-in-law. On weekdays, the voice is loud. When I saw this scene, I shouted. Half of the village was shocked. This old lady is still quite tough on weekdays. Although it is good to get up to 80 and work in the field, it is also very neat. Just died. Being a junior is naturally heartbroken. I thought that this man had not been dead for long. But the messenger called the barefoot doctor from the village. The doctor was pronounced dead. I guess it's because of the long bath time. The water temperature is too high. Blood pressure went up. No one notices after a stroke. Sinking into the water and drowning. His son's name is Zhang Laohan. He was over 60 years old. But it is also true filial piety. The old lady passed away like this. He also blamed himself. It was announced on the spot that a big funeral would be held. Funeral after the scenery. He knew that there was a Taoist priest living in the house of the man opposite. Immediately took the cigarettes and alcohol, and was ready to invite someone. The front foot has just stepped through the gate. The hind foot was stopped by Wang Xing. Said that Zawinbin had been asleep for a day. I can't wake up no matter how much I scream. Maybe tired. Let him rest first. Zhang Laohan was helpless. I looked for the martial arts in the village. Give the old lady a little practice first. Changing clothes. And he tore down half of his gate. Take 2 benches and stand them. The old lady's body was just parked in her own home. The first day this man died. The old lady is of high seniority. Naturally, there were many people who came to the vigil. It hurts to stay up late. The first half of the night was fine. Naturally, the second half of the night is more difficult. At that time, cremation propaganda had just begun. The old lady was not allowed when she was alive. Said that he had to lie in his big coffin if he was alive or dead. If a fire burns her, how could she go to the underworld to find the old man? What about Zhang Laohan? I didn't dare to disobey my mother's life. Second, he is also an honest farmer. The people who cremated the earth law also came down twice in 3 days. It is illegal to say that burial without permission is illegal. If you don't get it, you have to hold a lawsuit. Zhang Laohan is in a dilemma. That martial artist gave him an idea. Get a dress for the old lady. Generals in ancient times died on the battlefield. Often it is the fruit of the horse pavilion. Bury in situ. The relatives of the family wanted him to be buried in peace. Just get some clothes in front of him. He was buried in a coffin. Pay attention to the point of tying a dummy with straw. Write the birth date of the deceased and bury them together. That's a good idea. But there is a point. After the death of a person, and the soul left the body. But what he misses is still his body. There must be a condition. What is it? That's the hidden soul. What a trick is this hidden soul. After death, the soul doesn't have to be taken away right away. Yes. I also have to spend a few days in my own home. Will be picked up by Inchai. At this time, to let this soul treat the straw man as if it were his own flesh, attached. I was taken away on the spot. Wait until the head flag returns to his soul. Tell him, your body is here. Don't look for it in the future. This pile of straw, cloth, it's you. What about the Chinese? Not only pay attention to the fallen leaves and return to the roots, it also pays attention to the safety of the earth. So where the coffin is placed in the cemetery, it's certainly not marble down there, nor is it cement. It must be dirt. It's the best, or lust for home. The work of the hidden soul. Woos one naturally can't do it. Who's going to do it? Everyone must have guessed it. It's Zaven Bingbei. It's his specialty. However, Zonbing did not wake up until the evening of the next day. In a daze, I touched the kitchen to fetch water and wash my face. I only heard the sound of 3 firecrackers outside. What does this firecracker represent? Someone's house is dead again. The people in the village who are helping back and forth have to eat. Firecrackers have to be set off before eating. This is also one of the local customs. I didn't have time to put down the washcloth. Zhao Wenbin rushed out of the courtyard. It's on the other side. The curtain of the bowl is placed with a wreath. People come and go to serve food and wine. It's a lot of fun. The cries of men and women, young and old, mixed with the shouting of a large bowl of wine. The sound of women laughing with singles. Zhao Wenbin frowned and rushed over. I haven't walked in yet. I saw that He Lao was also sitting at a table. What is recorded? Take a look inside. I see. This He Lao was invited to be the bookkeeper. Dead people in the countryside. Everybody has to go to the front of the molecule. Express condolences. He Lao is a scholar. Everybody knows that. Although he just died, his father-in-law and his wife died. Everyone still respects him. Let him be the bookkeeper. Zhao Wenbin went in with his front foot. Just now, I was still playing loudly about the wine order. The people who were laughing fell silent. Tonight, this conjuring show. But they are all counting on this Taoist priest. But this Taoist priest came in with a gloomy face. Looks worried. He Lao was the first to get up. Hurriedly ran over and pulled Zhao Wenbin out of the yard. The inside began to burn the ears. I don't know which one shouted. The lively scene from before is again there. He Lao dragged Zonbin out. Quickly asked him how he is doing. Zhao Wenbin shook his head and said that there was no big problem. He Lao briefly told him about the perspective of this family. He also beckoned Zhang Laohan to come out to meet the guests. Zhang Laohan saw that Zhao Wenbin was coming. Naturally, he wiped his tears, squeezed out an ugly smile, pleaded with Zhao Wenbin to be a mage who was a hidden soul. Zhao Wenbin thought for a moment, nodding his head in agreement. Zhang Laohan is very happy. The alliance beckoned Zhao Wenbin to go in and do it. He poured wine and handed cigarettes. One by one, they were rejected by Zhao Wenbin. He had only one request. Fill the kitchen with green porridge. Eat dinner. The women and children cleaned up the tables and chairs. Most of them were driven home by their own men. This hidden soul is not something that ordinary people can be present. In case whoever is unlucky, the soul didn't lead to this scarecrow on someone else's body. That's a big deal. Zhao Wenbin said as usual. People of the opposite direction are not allowed to remain at the scene. The rest of the people had better not stand in the house. At least one road is vacated at the gate. In addition, the required attack blood, lime, cartons, candle, glutinous rice, all of them were put on the desk one by one. The desk is different this time. What's the difference? This time there are 2 desks. The first meal and the offerings are placed separately. They all lit candles and landed on the boxes. A desk was placed in front of the door panel where the body was lying. Another one, in front of the coffin with the scarecrow in it. The spiritual positions in front of the 2 desks are also different. One is painted. Place in front of the door panel. The other one, it's not painted. Place in front of the coffin. The long cotton lamp is also lit under the door panel. There is no point under the coffin. Zhao Wenbin was standing outside with all the others, ready to get started. I felt like it was dark in front of me. Shake her head. I don't know if I've been really tired lately, or what's wrong. I stood for a while. Zhao Wenbin cheered up. Set up the white-headed cartridge I stand. Standing on the ground, Cinnabar turned into a hidden soul array on the spot. This hidden soul array requires writing from beginning to end. The nib of the pin must not be off the ground. No more Cinnabar. It can only be poured down from top to bottom along the barrel of the pin. The people on the outside really saw it. I can't help but have some admiration for this Taoist priest. Zhang Laohan looked at this scene and was a little proud. Thought, this time it's enough to save face. I found a high-ranking person. The great array of hidden souls began to draw from under the door panel of the morgue. The last stroke fell under the coffin. Let's do it together, without any procrastination. Even He Lao, who loves calligraphy, is also open-minded. Zhao Wenbin's skills are not shallow. Draw at the same time. Zhao Wenbin had words in his mouth. Naturally, everyone couldn't understand what he was saying. It's just the last time it comes up. Zhao Wenbin already had beads of sweat the size of soybeans on his forehead, dripping down. It seems to be very difficult. What about this hidden soul array? Originally from Miaojiang. Originally, this spell was indispensable for the crown. Later, it was used by some demons. Cultivating evil arts with hidden souls. All elixirs and magic weapons cultivated with the hidden soul technique. It's all vicious. He has always been despised by those who are on the right path, so this spell is also nearly lost. Zhao Wenbin also saw it from the books left by the master. This is the first time I've taken it out and used it. I don't know how powerful it is. I just feel that a single picture is finished. It's already exhaustion. He Lao saw the difference. I went in and asked how Zhao Wenbin was. Zhao Wenbin waved his hand. It is to have no file. He Lao admonished. Be careful. And he withdrew. This talisman is finished. But there's one thing missing. That's hard. The shadow soul array also needs a shadow. What is this shadow? It is the person who the deceased trusted most during his lifetime. Don't think about it. Naturally, it's Zhang Laohan. Zhao Wenbin pointed at Zhang Laohan. Motioned for him to come in. Zhang Laohan didn't expect it. I have to go up myself? Looking at the old lady lying in the middle and the coffin. The cinnabar on the ground was bright and red. I can't help but hunt. The crowd burst into laughter. This old man. I felt a little panicked to see this while. It's not in the way. Helpless. I had to move in. Zhao Wenbin grabbed Zhang Laohan's hand. The 7-star line flashed coldly. Zhang Laohan instantly made a big hole on his left hand. Before he could shout, was held by Zhao Wenbin again. It was imprinted on the ground of Hidden Soul Town. Don't forget to darken. Wait for Zhang Laohan to pick up his hand. There was already a bloody slap on the ground for him. It really hurt him. Zhao Wenbin didn't look at him squarely. Take out a small jar of medicine. Pour on the wound. Then he was bandaged up. Signal for him to go out. Zhang Laohan covered his palm. I really want to scold my mother. The Taoist priest did not say hello either. It's just a bit of a look. It's half dead. And give it back to the blood print. Hot wounds. Let it be on this Taoist priest. I lost my affection in an instant. Strangely. It didn't take a while. The wound was still in severe pain just now. I actually started to itch. It didn't take long for it to stop hurting. Zhang Laohan felt miraculous about Zhao Wenbin's medicine in his heart. I just complained in my heart. There was a moment when it was gone. Instead, there is a sense of awe. When you're ready, Zhao Wenbin began to sprinkle a thin layer of lime in the coffin again. Follow the inside of the coffin to the outside of the board. A line that looks like a path has been cast. All the way to the wooden planks of the morgue. The dead man was buried and limed to repel insects. Everybody knows that. What are you doing with this lime now? The crowd was puzzled again. After finishing it, Zhao Wenbin asked someone to turn off the lights. In an instant, there were only 4 candles left in the whole hall. According to Zhao Wenbin's shadow on the ground, turn off the lights. The scene is not something that the faint of heart can hold. Especially the thin lettering on the coffin. It stands out under the swaying of the candles. A few timid people. It's already starting to shrink into the pile. Dare to do it. They all stick their heads in. I want to see it clearly. I guess so. These bold men made it through the night. I'll never want to see it again. They are bound to see for themselves. Struck dumb. If the word is ghostly, I don't understand what it is. So now it's used to describe it. This family house couldn't be more suitable. A dead man lies on the door panel. Spells painted on the ground were blinding red. A large coffin with bead paint is placed. The light of candles and sleeping lamps swayed in the breeze. Plus a Taoist priest sweating profusely and panting. There was no other sound. Everyone held their breath and stared at every move inside. After a short rest, take the spirit of warding off evil spirits. It began to shake on the old lady. The pace alternates along the door panel. The left finger is pinched into a lotus shape. Raise the bell in your right hand above your head. There are words in the mouth. The order of the Heavenly Master is in my name. 3 souls and 7 spirits are separated from the body. The old gentleman on the womb is as positive as the law. He first walked around the left 3 times. I walked around the right 3 more times. Shout. Go out. Suddenly, a gust of wind passed. 4 candles went out in response. Only the long cotton lamp under the door panel remains. It's still flickering and flickering, but it was soon swallowed up by darkness. It emits only a faint green light. It seems that all of a sudden, the old mansion of the Zhang family has fallen into an infinite abyss. The people inside didn't dare to breathe. I'm afraid that I will accidentally run out of a fart. Let yourself be on the road. What about the people out there? Can't see inside. I can only wait. It didn't take a while. I saw a glimmer of light suddenly burst out of it. The person between the eyes can see it at a glance. That little bit of light. From the one under the coffin. A long cotton lamp that has never been lit. Suddenly the light turned green. Slowly it turned blue. Just after the flame that became yellow. The light under the door panel went out completely. Zhao Wenbin also breathed a sigh of relief, so that people outside can turn on the lights and come in. Zhang Laohan couldn't wait for a long time. A sword step rushed in first. I haven't had time to stand on my feet. I was stunned by the scene in front of me. The lime on the ground clearly has a string of human footprints. From the door panel to the coffin. Glanced at Zhao Wenbin. I looked at the lying old lady again. Zhang Laohan knelt down. Why? Because this old lady is bound to her little feet. 3-inch essence lotus. The footprints. It's real. It's a 3-inch essence lotus. The strange thing is that the old lady wears shoes on her feet. There is not the slightest trace of lime. What does this mean? Zhao Wenbin was also so tired that he collapsed. A group of people gathered inside. There was a lot of chatter. It's not okay to admire him. Hilao came in with a cup of tea, motioned to Zhang Laohan to serve it to him. Zhao Wenbin took the tea and took a sip. Get up again. Zhao Wenbin lit the 2 candles in front of the coffin. The flames lit up as soon as they swooped. Then I found someone to paint the spiritual seat in front of the door panel. Give to get to the front of the coffin. Tell Zhang Laohan. Let him incense and burn paper on the straw man in the coffin. The body will be cremated early tomorrow morning. And he walked out the door. Early the next morning, Before cremation, Zhang Laohan was reluctant, and in front of the door panel of the morgue. That's weird. No matter how he ordered, this is a burnt box. Just ignite and extinguish. I simply changed it. Still like that. Click it, and it will be extinguished. On the contrary, the coffin over there is shallow. Very good. Just 1 point. In the morning, the hearse came to pick up the body. Then the driver is like pulling a dead pig. With a bang, the old lady was put on. Zhang Laohan thinks that they have no respect for the dead. The two of them began to shout. The hearse was converted from a scrapped motor bus. I don't have a listing photo. The traffic police generally do not stop him. Who wants to touch that brow? Therefore, the driver who drives the car is generally very arrogant, plus live in the dead all year round. The temper is naturally not small, swearing in his mouth. It's not clean all the time. Zhang Laohan's family is dead. It's already depressing. And scolded. Say hello. A group of relatives went up and around. Seeing that a group fight is about to happen, he Lao. After all, he is a reader. So he went up and separated everyone. But the driver said less. After all, people are sad. Forget about it. The driver was also a fiery temperament. You're all a bunch of people here. Last time I went to Gaojiazwang. It's not because I'm 10 minutes late for taking the wrong road at your intersection. They're going to beat people. Come to your lord today. Do it too. I won't come back to this place next time. With that, he went up and started the car. He Lao comforted Zhang Laohan for a while. Say that the dead are great. Bear with me. That's it. What about Zhou Wenbin? I kept staring at the hearse. He always felt something is wrong. But I can't tell.